it was as close to perfection as you can have it when it comes to learning. I haven't found anything that matches it as far as education, because you don't just do one
Okay.
all in one. Yours was a natural flow, actually. If I was at grade school with BLB, I went right to college with you. You didn't just
Yeah.
explain it, Brian. You broke it down, you gave examples, used analogies, and it was digestible.
Appreciate you for taking the time. I really do. TD White.
Oh, honors all
Um,
mine, man. I'm glad you're taking your time to meet with me. Shoot, the other way around.
nah. It's an honor, of course. I want to start off with your background. What were you doing professionally before you found out about business loan brokering?
I was in IT for 29 years,
Okay.
IT professional. Yeah.
Okay.
And
And
that
what did
means
you
I was
do? What did you do? You can't just let them know just like that. You've done some cool stuff.
Oh yeah, no. I say IT professional, but then I break it down, and I started off. I've always been a help desk specialist. In other words, you call in, I
Uh-huh.
troubleshoot or triage your issue. But I've also been that
Uh-huh.
in person. Where you can come in and bring your computer, and I go ahead and work on it for you. But a lot of
Uh-huh.
it changed when I started getting into online help desk, because I became not just a help desk. I became a help desk specialist. I became a senior
Uh-huh.
senior specialist. Um, I was in fact, most of my career out of 29 years was at Apple. I spent 14 years there. And working in a
Uh-huh.
help desk call center environment, Brian, the average tenure is maybe 5 to 7 years. I was there 14. So I kind of broke the mold in that regard. And during that time, I also was contracted with a company called Work Market, which is where
Okay.
you can trade your skills for hire, right? The highest bidder. And not what highest
Okay.
bidder, you take whoever got the best job is the one that applied, they get it. I got a lot of jobs. I had over 100 jobs um, servicing big box stores like Bed Bath Beyond, Walmart, Sam's Club, big ticket places like that. In fact, one of the places, TJ Maxx, I was up inside the ceiling wiring cable from the security room, to one of their offices. I've done travel lodges, hotels. I'm also a network specialist too. So I do networking, cabling,
Yeah.
connecting point to point, like, what you have in your wall. I can fish through the wall from one point to another. Oh my God. What you also call IT journalist, because I had so many different disciplines of IT to where I wasn't a programmer, never a programmer, but I knew how to create forms and processes that would make it seem like I was a programmer, because I had all kinds of tools.
Mhm, mhm.
I'm a man of software and hardware, and I have service. Like I said, I have about 12, 10 to 12,000 hours of customer facing experience, and that's been 35 years of customer
Okay.
service. And I have also got government security clearance, Department of Homeland
Mhm.
Security, FBI, NSA, and I had what they called the fourth highest security, which was public trust. You got public trust,
Gotcha.
confidential, secret,
Gotcha.
and top secret. Um, I was in that area, worked with General Service Administration, where I was allowed by the federal government to go ahead and work at airports. That never materialized, even though it took me 2 years to get certified with the government. That process for getting security clearance takes forever, But I have about seven
Wow.
security clearances, and I've worked for many CEOs, from small mom pop.
So this
Um,
this is this is a major shift. I mean, based on your background, what are you doing here in my world, the funding world? How did you even find out about
my
this
brother,
thing?
yeah, my brother. I got fascinated with
Okay.
what he's doing. I didn't want to be a CPA, but I got fascinated with what he's doing. And
Mhm.
you ever heard the term fintech?
Yes, yeah,
FINTECH.
financial, yeah.
It's financial
Yes. Uh-huh.
technology as a marriage. Well, I
Yeah,
already had the
companies.
tech.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Hmm.
never saw myself being an accountant or a bean counter or anything like that, as they say. What got me was I was seeing. I've always seen brokers, of different kinds, from mortgage, to capital funding, and so forth. But I never paid it too much mind. But I started talking to my brother, and he was telling me some things he's doing. I'm like, he's making a pretty good living doing that. And then, to
Hmm.
his credit, Oz came on the scene, and he was talking about business lending. So anytime I see somebody talk, I'll go outside them and I'll start researching around. And I saw that there was a lot of,
Hmm.
a
And
lot of
you're talking about Oz Connor.
Oz Conrad.
Oz, uh,
Yes. Yeah. To his credit,
my,
he
my
he
my
he
best
introduced
friend.
me to it. Yeah, yeah. But I did, that's the most credit I can give. It did draw me into the arena, and I started researching more outside of, not just his organization, but in general, from the traditional banks
Hmm.
on. And I said, wow, I've always been a business brand of helping people. my customer service, my lifetime customer service rating right now is at 97.82%. Not too bad after
Okay.
35 years,
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I said, what can I do? Because I was getting burnt out of tech. I was tech everywhere. I go to a hospital, be in a hospital, and I still am helping them with tech. It's everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
That's how I became an international
Mm-hmm.
tutor. I've been an international tutor for about 8 years, students in Australia, the United States, Canada, and UK, and so I was getting a little
Mm-hmm.
global presence too. And by the way, I was over in Europe for 7 years when I was younger, so I have a little European experience.
Mm-hmm.
So bring it to flash forward. I was a little burnt out, so I shifted from IT into things like working in a warehouse because I used to be a forklifter when I first started working. Went back to that. Worked at a place called AutoZone, as a part-time associate. I was just pivoting into different arena. Eventually, I became an assistant front-end manager at a
Trying to
grocery
find
store.
something else.
Yeah, I was assistant
Yeah.
front-end manager at a grocery
Okay.
store, and even interviewed there, they tried to see, well, TD, we do have an IT department. Your resume is amazing. I told general manager, I said, well, appreciate that, sir, but if I wanted to be in IT, I'd be having an IT interview. This is for a grocery assistant manager position. Let's keep on that. I got hired the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So, but there is one thing I did. I know you didn't see that message I sent to you from Messenger. It was back in
Mm-hmm.
March, but it was hella long, and
Yeah.
I didn't care. I was just like, I was just pouring myself out. But I do have to take you back to a little bit to why I end up pivoting here even more. Is September 8th of last year, I was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. I have what they call
Okay.
non-Hodgkin
Sorry to hear
lymphoma.
that.
Oh, hey, it's okay.
Uh-huh.
I went in on the 28th of August. My wife took me in because I had trouble breathing. I had 2 liters of fluid on my right lung. And so had
Mm.
she not taken me in, I might have not been here next day. But while I was at the hospital, I was in the hospital for 17 days. They did a biopsy underneath my left armpit, and behind on my tailbone where the bone is. They
Mm-hmm.
did a bone marrow, and the biopsies came back positive, saying that I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, or what they call CLL, which is chronic lymphatic leukemia. It just means the cancer of the lymph nodes, which in some ways, Brian, is a blessing because it's one of the most treatable cancers there is, and the life
Okay.
expectancy is fairly long. And I've
Mm-hmm.
been in surgery, not surgery. I haven't had any surgery. I've been in treatment. There's a place right here. It's called a port. It's like a little lump, and they put it in
Mm-hmm.
so that as many needles as they have to put in, they don't want to collapse my veins in my
Mm-hmm.
arms. They take it through the port, which is so much easier and less pain.
Mm-hmm.
Not painful. And I just finished that up. I finished the infusion therapy, which is the IV treatment, which is 5 to 6 hours on average once a month. That stopped April 30th. And now I'm just on oral medications until my evaluation in in October.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
just did a CT scan last week, so I get the results back, but I'll be meeting my doctor on the 13th to see how I'm doing. But so far, she
Mm-hmm.
says numbers are staying level, and the good numbers are
That's
going
good.
up. Bad numbers are staying down. So, I sat back and I thought about Brian. I said, you know what? I said, let me take a look at this. So the more I looked at it, the more I said, I could do this. I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm adaptable. I'm personable. I know I can make connections. Not a problem. I
Yeah.
know people, and I can see reaching out to business owners because when I was in IT, I helped a lot
Mm-hmm.
of businesses, a lot of business
Mm-hmm.
owners. I was even in IT before I came here about a year. I think the last time I was there from December 2021 to February 23, I was the IT lead for one of the larger home builders here in Arizona area. They're in 18 offices, 8 states, and Arizona, Phoenix. Well, that's actually Scottsdale, which is part of Phoenix. We were the third largest. We had 153 personnel from
Mm-hmm.
president to 5 vice presidents to 4 directors, including HR, to senior superintendent of construction managers, construction team sales. I took care of 153 people by myself
Wow. So you,
for their IT
yeah.
needs. You know,
So you
if
know
you're
how to work
I
with
got
people.
oh man, and
Definitely for sure.
yes, and
Uh,
I
now, what were
had
your
uh-huh.
once you found out about Oz? Because yeah, from a marketing standpoint, he's definitely everywhere, as I've said. What were your thoughts on Business Lending Blueprint?
You know, I you asked me a question, Brian. Give me a moment. Um,
You were talking this whole time. Now you need time to think about that.
well, I'll say it like this. He was a gateway into the world of business lending. Okay. The more I
Uh-huh.
looked in, the more I started
Uh-huh.
getting into SBA, the more I started looking into real estate, term loans, bridge loans, invoice factoring. He has some good information that he accumulated, but it's the same information I can find online.
Uh-huh.
But I did appreciate it was all in one place. The thing is, when I met one of his guys, I wasn't really flattered. And I'm not being negative. I had to think about it because I'm like, I really didn't think about it. I was
Uh-huh.
so busy getting information. I didn't care who was coming from because I was hungry. I'm like, okay. And
Yeah.
after, and I would vet all of his lenders. I would verify his information against what I saw online. I was cross-referencing so much, Brian. I had almost 10 gigabytes, 12 gigabytes of information that I had
Mm-hmm.
accumulated just in the whole business. And I would watch some of
Mm-hmm.
his videos, but I stopped because there were one or two that were interesting, but most of them were boring. And it's not that
Mm-hmm.
can be boring. It can be boring sometimes, okay? But it was the same old stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like he was making it sound like it was so
Mm-hmm.
easy to get in front of these people, get the people, the clients, turn them over to a lender, and just fire and forget. And it wasn't like that, Brian. I caught on to that within 3 weeks of
Mm-hmm.
his course. Now, when the guy came
Mm-hmm.
to me, I said, he's like, yeah, so we'd like to see if we think you're a great candidate. Your numbers are amazing as far as your history and your customer service. Same thing you say in customer service. I'm like, oh, yeah. So, what are you guys looking at? He said, the course is about $7,000. And I'm not surprised because I've seen courses 10,000, 12,000, 25,000. I wasn't shocked by that. I'm like, the hell
Mm-hmm.
you gonna make me pay for that? I don't see all that value. I can do that myself, right? And it wouldn't be cheap. If I had, I wouldn't pay it, because
Uh-huh.
it wasn't enough that I couldn't get on my own. If I can get it on my own, and I'm not no reflection on you because you have some valuable, that's top notch stuff, which is something I want to share with you. I was thinking about something else to share with you, and why I was asking, seeking alignment with you. On long story short, Brian, I just realized I said, good way to get me connected into the world. Now I'm on my own. And then all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden, one day I was frustrated. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm like, God, it's the same talk. It's just same monotonic conversation. He sounds like he's asleep, and I need some zeal. Hey, like you, like I love you. Like, damn it, I would laugh. You were funny, but at the same time, I was learning. So when I
Yeah.
first came across you, I was like, okay, I need to see if there's somebody
How
else
did you
doing
come across my stuff anyway?
it. That's what I'm saying. YouTube.
Just YouTube. Okay.
Yeah, I was sourcing Oz, and then all of a sudden you came up right behind him. I said, wait, it's a brother. I said,
Mm-hmm.
sharp dressed brother. Let me see what he got to say. And and you like business lending
Bombastic.
bullshit. Yeah, oh, you're like business lending bullshit. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, okay, but I couldn't stop looking. I couldn't stop watching. And next thing I know, halfway through, I was fine. I was like, I said, yes, yes. I said, go on, my brother, keep talking. And I spent a few hours just watching videos and everything. And you
Mhm.
get gift from me. I was like, by the time I was done,
Yeah.
I'm like, now I know I'm in the right place because you confirmed in your training that I was thinking like
Mhm.
a broker, not an ISO or referral, glorified referral
Mhm.
partner. Because I was
Mhm.
saying glorified
Mhm.
referral partner. I said I want to
So,
be that.
so, and I think you took a chance on me and bought my Wealth of Middleman Masterclass. It's just $37 course
Yeah.
versus Oz's $7,000 course. I
And
want
I
you
got
to
more out of your
compare,
course.
and that was $37. Now think about what you could get with the other stuff. And
Oh,
and
thank you.
and and just for the audience that's listening, the reason why I did it like that is I
Uh-huh.
wanted people like yourself. If you're interested in the industry, let me teach you about the products that are available so you can have the ideology you need based on the Three Paths of Lending series, a book that I've read. And if you
I
want to
got your book
do
too.
more
Yeah.
beyond that, then you can take it there. You can either do it yourself, building the infrastructure, because there's two things that you need to gain here. You need to get
Sure.
the knowledge as far as the products that are available, and then you need to have an infrastructure. Every business has to have a system in place in order for you,
That's right.
to be able to. And that's what we offer with all the different other programs that we have. Where we have that agent program, and then we have the agency program. If you really want to do it by yourself, but the question is $37 versus $7,000. What would you say, if we can expand on that? And was I right in my assault, I should say, of Mr. Oz? Because it seems very personal, but it is personal to me because I've been in this industry for so long, and to see what he's doing, which, in my opinion, as I've shared with you, he's taking advantage of people's passion,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
it's snake oil salesman. If Oz was saying and teaching what he was, because when he was claiming in his advertisement, he's going to teach you how to become a business loan broker. Okay,
Hmm.
maybe we all have a different definition of what a business loan broker is, but we know what a broker is supposed to be. But
Right.
he doesn't do that in his course. In his course, he himself doesn't even teach. He introduced you to other brokers, which is just such a crazy twist to the whole thing,
It is. It is.
versus what I'm trying to do is to educate people on the products, teach people. It's not that difficult. It's
No,
understanding the products and
it
then
is. It
developing
really
a
is.
system where you can find the clients and match them
Mhm.
with the lenders. That's what a broker does, you
Yeah.
know. But long-winded question, but I just kind of wanted to share your thoughts with the comparison of what you gained from my course versus what you got from ours.
Oh, be my pleasure. Well, first of all, I can't agree with you when you said you assaulted um, Oz and the business lending blueprint. You didn't assault, right? What you did was you corrected. You corrected the course
Okay.
that business lending blueprint would take you into that wasn't it didn't coincide with the particular industry that we're actually in,
The promise.
which is the business of helping
Mhm.
businesses, small, medium-sized, even large businesses, get the capital funding they need in many categories, to be able to keep their business going for expansion, all those things. You course corrected. And that's why I looked at it. And even though you said business lending bullshit, which is hilarious, if you break down that word bullshit, the word bull is bullish, okay? It's being forced. It's pushed out there because bull's gonna hit you with the horns, right?
Okay.
Shit is waste. Okay. In other words, good information was being forced and it was wasted because it was inadequate. It wasn't enough to train someone the way
Uh-huh.
the broker solutions program implemented. Right out the gate, I'm up here, new guy watching you. I'm already a principal business loan broker, already establishing myself quite well. Even before I got any contracts, I started getting portfolios of clients looking to have my experience, to help them, even though they didn't know I was new, but I was resourceful to where you couldn't tell I was new.
Mhm.
When I found you, it was like I said, I was at a point of frustration because I kept hearing, I'm like, oh, teach me, man. I mean, my wife and I were saying, eat the meat, spit out the bones. I was still getting too many bones. I was choking. And that's when, at that moment of
Mhm.
frustration, like I wasn't questioning what I was doing. I'm like, I'm going to see if I can find more because this isn't working. I searched and I found you right after watching one of his
Mhm.
videos, and it was like night and
Mhm.
day. And you came out the gate educating when you thought about the three packs of lending. That right there
Lending.
is something I keep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was something that I said, oh my God, this is exactly what I need. And when you made comparisons, I went into your other videos and I watched at least 10 of your videos. I mean, I lost count. It was so many. I was up there drinking coffee and
Mhm.
eating chips, just watching you. It was breaking things down, especially your the way you broke down the lingo, the terms, the acronyms.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then you tied
Mhm.
into what an actual, credit card stacking was and SBAs and, your background in real estate and mortgage. And it was making sense. And you are the one that actually confirmed, not my
Yep.
experience with Business Lane Blue. It was you that confirmed that I wasn't a glorified ISO. I started off as that because I didn't know any better.
Mhm.
But the more I educated myself on my own,
Mhm.
you became if I was at grade school with BLB, I went right to college with you, if that makes sense. Okay, because
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
didn't just
Yeah.
explain it, Brian. You broke it down, you gave examples, used analogies, and it was digestible. And I feel like I went up,
And
I
the
go
thing
ahead.
with the training that I offer, and I always tell people, as I shared with you, is I want, we're talking about business loans, we're talking about credit scores, we're talking about finance, and we're talking about businesses. And I don't want you to believe anything that I'm saying. It needs to make sense, and I think that that's really what I connect with people is what I'm saying, even in my book, if you read my book, these
Mhm.
are, as an adult, these are life experiences to run through. So as I'm talking to you about the three paths of lending, the only three ways in how you can borrow money for any business, it's either based on your credit, your income, and assets. That just makes sense. It's not a Brian
It's a
belief.
message.
That's just
Uh-huh.
really what's out there. So that clarity just connects. My
Yeah.
question was, were the topics that I covered relevant and informative, and is this something that you can actually use in real life? Because sometimes you take courses and you're like, man, it's like reading a book sometimes, and you just kind of forget about it.
Mhm.
Was the topics I covered informative, and is this something that you can actually use right now as you're growing your business loan brokering company?
Let me put it in a few terms. It's so viable and so credible and so confirmed. I mean, I confirmed your information with other resources that it was like, right,
Hmm.
right. There was nothing I found wrong, you know. And I don't believe in perfection amongst us humans, maybe in the divine sense, but it was as close to perfection as you can have it when it comes to learning. I haven't found anything that matches it as far as education, because you don't just do one
Okay.
all in one. I have in my possession
Hmm.
from the middleman masterclass, at least about maybe 15 pages, give or take, of content and matrices. My favorite, of course, is the real estate matrix. I love
Hmm.
that one. And the three pack
Hmm.
of, you call it three pack of lending. I'm sorry if I'm getting the name wrong, but I know
Three
you're talking
pets,
about
three
credit
pets of
based
lending. Yeah.
revenue. Yeah, a credit based, revenue, income based, and asset based. Those three became a foundation for me. And it's funny, Brian, before that, I had about a portfolio of about maybe $500,000 in clients, come on board.
Hmm.
But when I got your information and I
No.
started going into Wealthy Middleman, it went from 500,000 as far as interested clients, nothing's done until until these loans are converted, but it jumped to 12.8 million. And that was in a
Yeah.
span from the
Okay.
time I got your information, which was in April, where we're now in June. It expanded to where it went from
In June. Yeah.
500,000 to 12.8 million. And we got about 7 million that may be converted in the next week, you see. So it's real.
See that's
It's real.
because you
It's
you
real.
you're not the. I appreciate that, man, and that's what I really want to hear. Because
Yes.
now, as you said, as part of my saying, I'm gonna teach you how to become a real business loan broker, not a glorified referral partner. You
Yeah,
know,
I love that
I
line. That's
interact
one
with
of my
so
favorite
many
lines.
people that are
Yeah.
interested in. I interact with so many people that are interested in this business, and
Yeah.
they've taken the Oz course, or they've taken, there's another one, Lead Sensei, and when they start talking to their clients, they don't even know what they're talking about. You
Yeah.
know,
That was my biggest fear.
I'm sorry, I got to get the people out of here.
Yeah. That was my
And
biggest
and
fear.
and what I've done is I made a video a couple of weeks ago talking about that there's two skills that you have to have in order for you to be successful, in this industry. And one of them, in addition to the knowledge, you have to have some charisma. You have to have some assertiveness. But it's
Yeah.
hard to be charismatic and assertive when you're selling a product you don't understand. So when
I can tell
you
you about
lack
that.
the,
Yes.
so the three paths of lending and the ideology and the matrix that are very well presented. I gave you the
Oh,
bird's eye view of the three paths of lending, then I
yes.
dissected deeper and I talked to you about each product within each one of the
Yes.
different paths. And then I dissected deeper and I talked to you about what the lender is looking for. By that, when you're speaking to your clients, when you're having that initial call, you can easily pre-qualify them as you're having the conversation with them because you know what you're talking about. You can
Yeah.
ask the relevant questions because you know what you're talking about. You're trying to lead them through the right path to help them meet their goal. So the question is, do you think that resulted in you increasing the amount of business that you were bringing in because you knew what you were talking about and you're able to easily kind of pre-qualify and get rid of the BS, because it's a numbers game at the end of the day.
Right. Well, I'll tell you this, knowing that you understand it, my God, I'm sorry, I have to correct myself. I have 30 years in IT this year. Um, because of
Hmm.
my being a resourceful tech, I was always an information seeker. I didn't just hear what you said, I confirmed what you said,
Hmm.
and I always with you, I confirm outside
Okay.
of you and vet you. And I was already on that path about 7 months prior to to meeting you. I was already on a path of making sure that I did not sound stupid or like I didn't know what I was saying, with these particular clients that I would eventually
Hmm.
get. And that was one of my biggest fears. It's always been something that I've always held. Do not be one that comes up like you have all, like you said, the charisma and you have the assertiveness and so forth, but yet don't know a hill of beans. I'll tell you one quick story. When
Hmm.
I first started Apple back in 2005, I had gone through 4 weeks of training, and then they take us out of what they call nesting. Nesting means, okay, you're getting kicked out the nest. Now you got to deal with real people, no more scenarios. My first call, Brian, and this set the course on how I am today.
Hmm.
I took the call. Started off confident. You know, of course, I was nervous as hell. I eventually got to the point of what the customer wanted, and she said, "You know what?" She said, she said, "You're sweet." She said, "But obviously you're new." And I'm like,
Mhm.
damn, she saw through the facade, right? It was a legitimate facade because
Mhm.
they said don't let them know that you don't know, And from that point on, I drilled myself. I got in the art of not manipulation, but the art of being persuasive, like Brian Tracy would talk about, Les Brown, being
Mhm.
persuasive, but at the same time being confident in my
Mhm.
persuasiveness. And that's how I built that into a skill. So when I came
Mhm.
into that program and I saw business, I say business bullshit, I didn't feed into it right away. I fed into the
Mhm.
idea, the concept of what it was. But I had to go deep, and the deeper I went,
Mhm.
the more I went outside. So I can imagine spending
Mhm.
$7,000, and most of
Mhm.
the time I'm going outside trying to get the information because I was asking to be taught. And you even said in the training, when you did that evaluation of the whole package of business lending blueprint, you sat through the whole thing. I can't even sit through
Mhm.
it with you because I've been through it. I'm like, I can't do it again. So I went to your other videos and I ended up signing for the wealth because I couldn't sit through another time of
You keep,
evaluating what I'd already
it,
done. I evaluated the whole system twice.
you keep bringing it up, and I'm going back to the blueprint, the thing that Oz shows is the
Yes,
actual quote unquote
yes,
blueprint. It has a
yes.
look. I ordered it and he didn't send
Disclosure.
it to me. I was gonna put that in my background because I want you to think about it. As
Yeah,
somebody that has been in so many different types of businesses and understands systems,
yeah,
compare what Oz is enforcing with the business lending blueprint, that little path. Oh, if they have 60, send them here. If you're dead, it is, with the confidence and the knowledge you gain by understanding the three paths of lending,
yeah. Well,
you
I
know,
can say this.
and and and, and just,
It's myopic. He's myopic. In other words,
and understanding the matrix,
uh-huh.
versus the blueprint, because the blue, that's just like you. When I heard the name business lending blueprint, wow, that it gives me a plan and a path to
It did.
help my businesses. But you
Yes.
look at this chart that he presented, and then you look at, you know, I don't know. I can It's just, it was a bit silly. It's really insulting to me,
Yeah.
how somebody can really present that the way he does and really sell that, as a course. It's making a bad rep to even the course industry, like myself, because it makes it
Yeah.
harder for me after somebody's been through his course. What can you really truly offer me if this guy's selling this thing for
Yeah.
$7,000?
Yeah.
What can you really do? So it's really kind of crazy. But kind of a quick question:
Yeah.
what do you think we can improve um, in Broker Solutions Academy? You've said a bunch of really great stuff, and I appreciate you for sharing that. But what can we do better in the course to kind of help brokers like yourself, kind of just be more successful?
Okay. Now here's where I can give you. I'm a step up probably from most you talk to because I'm an educator. I even created training courses when I was at Apple for whole departments. So I was almost on
Hmm.
my way to becoming a senior trainer.
Hmm.
Before Apple, when I first started my IT career, I worked for a mom and pop real estate software company. They sell a real estate software like you doing, with brokers, with the broker solution for the fintech. They were doing real estate packages for brokers and real estate agents, and I was a help desk specialist.
Hmm.
I became their first software trainer within a matter of month of being there because I had a knack for breaking things down for people.
Hmm.
And um,
Hmm.
flash forward to the time at Apple. During the time at Apple, I eventually became an IT tutor. You know, 45, 50 students worldwide. Um, Most of them getting their certifications for IT from help desk all the way to cybersecurity. Two of my students right now are making six figures in their IT career, and a few more following suit.
Hmm.
So success stories up the wazoo. But the common denominator in what I'm saying here compared to what you do, Brian, is such that if the program yields results, that's a success. And I did nitpick all of what you put, and there was not one thing I could find that was out of place. So I don't have anything to tell you as far as changing anything. Um, the methodology that you employed, the hard work that you put in, uh, the way I cross-verified your information, because that's what I do as an IT. We were always trained to research. I found there was nothing that
Hmm.
in fact, I could take this and start my own agency. Believe it or not,
Hmm.
now I do have a hand
Right.
up in a lot of things because one thing about us Texas, we're so adaptive and we're
You're
supposed
back,
to assimilate very quickly. You give me something, I'm expected to get it down within a few days. That's how we were trained. So that's going to be with me for the rest of my life. So I do have a little hand up in that regard because we can go into other industries with relative ease because of how we've been able to adapt, execute, and assimilate, right? Assimilate, execute. And yours was a natural flow, actually. And by the way, I think to your credit, I may have a copy of the blueprint that you didn't get. I may have a copy of it, so I'll look into my files. But
I
yeah,
want it.
okay.
I ordered it. I want
I,
that big thing. I was gonna put it back
I
here.
think I have
So
it. I'll check. Don't yeah until I confirm. I believe I have it, but I'll check. I check because that's 9 gigs of information I got. But the to finalize your question, I mean, even I'm sitting here looking at, what's your FICO score? The 3 packs of lending, unsecured credit lines matrix, the matrices. Oh my God, the matrices gave me chills because I need information in one place. When I use my AI, which I'm very skilled at, um, I build matrices. Didn't realize I call them charts, but they're matrices. And yours was so well put together and so well thought out. I didn't have to look anymore. I'm not being funny, Brian. I didn't have to look anymore. That amazed me. I said, and then I when I sent you that long text, it was to meet you. I said, I got to meet him. I said, I don't want to waste his time and I'll be quick, but I just need to meet this Brian Artenio because he knows what the hell he's talking about. $100 million portfolio, almost 15 years, 15 years in the industry. He knows something. Didn't start from the humble beginnings. You were self-taught for the most part. I'm sure you had some mentors along the way, but your story, I said I can relate with that because a lot of what I did was self-taught. I became an IT after I broke my parents' computer system. I became an IT tech, and I started fixing other people's computers when I got fixed theirs. It's a progression. But your information, Brian, here's one keyword I want to give you. It's scalable. You can grow with it.
Okay.
And I could eventually get to the point where I have $100 million portfolio and I'll still have this in front of me. That's how powerful it is.
I appreciate that. That really means a lot. I put a lot of thought into coming up with that curriculum. And when I hear you say that, I've met my objective, because even if you saw in the videos, I even put a different suit in every single video for y'all.
I love the suits.
Okay.
Clean dress man, yes.
And some of those videos I'm recording the same day. So I do a whole skit and then I'd go to my closet, change. Because again, I'm talking about money. I have to look like money. I thought about my presentation. I thought about all of these different things. So when I hear you say that, it really, there was a lot of sacrifices and dedication towards, that training. And it's really, I'm on a mission to help people that are curious about this, and if I can cut that learning curve down, because if you say, if you can invest $37, wealthy middleman, and just kind of get it, and if you need some more help, we can do a little bit more. If you need some help with infrastructure, if you need some help with getting access to the lenders, if you need help, we can definitely do more. So, but anyway, I really appreciate your time, man. I don't want to take too much of your time. Any final thoughts before we check out today? If anybody's, yes.
There's one thing I want to tell you. Excuse me for interjecting, but this is a very valid point. I'm very direct when it comes to matters of education and knowledge. I love the knowledge that's out there. There's no excuse. You got the World Wide Web, you got the libraries, you got all kinds of resources. So there's no excuse not to learn. If your information wasn't up to par, I'd let you know. So this is not paid advertising, not paid what they call it, testimony, a person giving a testimony. It's not paid. This is pretty much raw from ground up. If it wasn't up to par, I'd correct you on it. I would be critical. I wouldn't be negative, nasty, and all that. That's not necessary. I'm not emotional about it. I'm dealing with the facts, but I lay the facts out of how this was not effective, at least for me. I'd be honest with you, but I don't give compliments unless they really do. And my wife says, you don't place flowers at anyone's feet unless you really mean to have those flowers in hand and you mean to give it to them. And so this is one of the reasons why. And I wanted to wait for an opportunity. I think the opportunity is here. When I told you yesterday I was looking to partner and be a strategic partner and make a lot of money with you, I meant just what I said, but it's going further than that. I'm going to market Broker Solutions. I'm going to use all my resources.
I appreciate that.
I'm going to talk locally. I'm going to talk nationally to all my contacts, and I'm going to put the word out about the Broker Solutions to start saturating things, to get it into people's minds. Because what you did, Brian, which was single-handedly, you got into my mind, and you got into the core of my desire, which is I need to learn this. And that was a key word from me. I learned from you. So now, yeah, I was sitting yesterday, I said, oh yeah, there's different ways I can promote you organically, not even paid ads. I know how to do that. You know, I have marketing skills, making ads, getting you up in the Google pages. I do that stuff. I help clients doing that now, even though I'm doing business, business lending. I still help them from that perspective too. So you got yourself a marketing evangelist here, for Broker
We're
Solutions.
gonna have another conversation about that because that's one of the areas I need help with. Okay,
I
it's
picked up on
marketing.
that early
I'm
on.
not really good at.
Yeah, I
I,
saw it.
I'm not good at marketing at all. I'm not good at marketing, and I've tried so many different things. I had
Yeah,
marketing companies. I've paid even 10,000 a month, to Facebook agencies, and I've never been
yeah,
really successful. This year I've gained a little bit of success with Facebook,
yeah.
but with Google SEO, there was a time I was paying somebody $1,500 a month to do SEO work for me. It just never really panned out. But anyway, I gotta
Yeah.
run. I could
Okay.
talk to you forever, man. You're great. I really
Oh,
appreciate your time. I
likewise.
appreciate the opportunity. Let's
Yeah.
link up sometime this upcoming week, and we can talk about how you can help me with that because I think I could really use your help for sure.
Well, I need your help too because I have a $5 million loan request from a business. They make
Okay.
about 20 million a year, and I'd
Uh-huh.
like to talk with you about that. So when can we meet again? Because that's pending. They just put the application in with me, and
Well,
I'm actually I wanted to after speaking with you. I said before I go with my lenders, I want to go ahead and check with Pennington Consulting about that and see if maybe we can actually align and do something for them. I don't care about sharing wealth.
we can do same thing tomorrow. You want to do 7 a.m. tomorrow?
7 a.m.
Tomorrow's
tomorrow is good for
Thursday.
me. I got my
Yeah.
coffee too. Yeah.
Let's do that,
Okay.
and I'll do we'll do yep, same. We'll be in the same room. Okay.
Sounds good.
Right here on
Sounds
the
good, my
Zoom link.
brother. The pleasure's all
Thanks
mine. I
again,
could
man.
talk to you all day too, but hey, we'll talk some more tomorrow. Thank you again for having me.
You
It's an honor.
we didn't even introduce him to Dreamhead Financial, man. Say something quick about Dreamhead Financial
Um,
before we check out.
yeah. DreamHead Financial is your all-in-one solution for tax solutions, business consulting, business lending, and there's even a function we have called a GPS, which is a tax advisory, where we teach you about how to handle your taxes and how to keep your money. And it's growing at an
Mhm.
astronomical rate because of the fact that there are a lot of hungry people out there wanting to know about their money, not just be able to make and save their money. And we have 5 services, including Linden, that we actually offer to help make that happen. We even have a irrevocable trust system that we set up too for companies that need trust, individuals that need trust. And it's the idea is to be an all-in-one, for your financial needs and your financial portfolio. And that's us.
I appreciate that. Where did you send that message to me personally on Facebook, or what did you send to my business?
It was on your Facebook Messenger. Every Facebook account has a messenger, and I
Messenger.
think it was from the Broker
Yeah,
Solution. I don't know if you have Broker Solutions or if it's under your name. But yeah, I'd say it's sometime
yeah.
maybe April, March or April. I think I might have sent it. Maybe May at the worst, but at the latest. But I think it was April, March, April. And yeah, you'll see it if it's still there. I don't know if Facebook actually times out information after a while on Messenger, but I've been able to go back, a year, 2 years and see stuff, so it should be there. But yeah, it was
I'm gonna look
it
at
was,
it.
I might have to. You know what? If I got it, I go to check my messages. If I have it there, I'll send a copy to you. It was something else. I'm like, I couldn't
Please,
stop talking. I was
because
so
I want
impressed
to see
with your
that.
program. Yeah. So that might be part of our
I want to
testimony,
see
but
that,
I
man.
got
I
I got a
appreciate.
hellacious testimony set up for you, brother. So we'll talk again tomorrow, and we'll touch base on that too. Not a problem.
Windows Defender has temporarily disabled your internet connection and computer for suspicious. Absolutely. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, buddy.
What the
Talk.
heck? All right.
Take
You
care.
have a good one.
You too.
What
Bye
is
bye now.
going on? Please call our support before your Facebook account is permanently suspended. Windows Defender has temporarily disabled your internet connection and computer for suspicious activity from Facebook. Stop it. Anyway, Harold, please delete that out. I was trying to find this gentleman's message, but I can't find it. Anyway, that was a review for today. As you can see, if you're interested in becoming a business loan broker and learn how to become a real business loan broker, not a growth referral partner, there's going to be a link in the description on how we can start working together. Or spend $37 and really just learn the products. That gentleman just spent $37, and the wealth of knowledge he gained from $37 is way more than what you got out of business lending bullshit. Okay, Oz, stop doing what you're doing. Okay, I don't even mean to be talking about you, but it just kind of happens sometimes. Talk to you guys soon. You guys have a good one.